I remembered the YouTube password. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. For those who do not know who I am Azura, leader of the Goobers and local VTuber extraordinaire. And today I am revisiting a game that I have covered a couple of times here on the channel, and also have been thoroughly enjoying a lot recently. Today, we are revisiting Deadlock, and its more casually accessible mode known as Street Brawl. Now, what is Street Brawl? Street Brawl is Deadlock's 4v4 combat-focused game mode, added within the last major update of the game at the time of writing this, being Old Gods, New Blood. Designed for shorter, quicker bursts of Deadlock games that allow you to get in, play for a little bit, and get out without being tied down by the many major gameplay mechanics that you'd see in the main mode, or for MOBAs in general. Street Brawl is set up in a round-based best-of-5 format where the first team to reach 3 points wins. Within these rounds, you are granted a certain amount of ability points to level up your abilities themselves, starting at 6 AP in the earlier rounds, going down to 5 AP in the later rounds. Alongside being granted ability points, you are given the ability to choose items. These items are rolled at random and will heavily affect your gameplay depending on if you don't get completely destroyed by RNG or not. Happened on multiple occasions on my end, and it is not fun. Most of the time, you'll get items that work for that character. A good example of this would be either Mina or Pocket, getting your spirit items, the odd defensive green here and there, and maybe even a stamina mastery, or majestic leap, or kinetic dash. You need a little bit of stamina in these builds, come on now. Hell, if you get lucky, you get something like the odd legendary item that I'll want to list out later. However, RNG will sometimes completely screw you over, and you'll get something ridiculous like full gun or full melee Pocket, also known as Glock It, or Tank Mina. Tank Mina! It is just as bad as it sounds. Those games are few and far between, however, but a good craftsman never blames his tools. You can always get the items you need later on in the match if it does end up going to round 4 or 5 and it isn't a complete shit stomp. When round starts and you've got your items, you and your 3 other teammates are sent down a random line and are tasked with one simple thing: destroy the enemy's tower. In the early rounds, you start off with the enemy guardians, and on match point, your objective is to destroy an enemy walker. The start of rounds normally start off with poke, an exchanging of abilities, shots, whittling down of health bars, basically. That is until everyone's ultimates come off cooldown. Then it turns into a full-blown bloodbath. Blah, 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 blah. Bloodbath, yes. The moment those ultimate abilities come online is the moment it turns from poke to a full-blown team fight 90% of the time. The other 10% is if someone got caught out by some rogue hard crowd control and their teammates decide to all in on that one person, moving both one body and one ultimate for a fight for about 25 to 30 seconds. This goes on until either one of the teams get a good tempo lead in a massive wave and crash into the enemy objective, normally resulting in it being destroyed if you do not have sufficient wave clear power. At 3 minutes, this is when overtime is activated. Troopers gain increased health, and respawn timers are increased to 40 seconds to a little over a minute. It really depends on if you get unlucky. This is but a basic overview of Street Brawl as a mode, but I do want to go into more details regarding one of the interesting things about it, and that would be the items. Street Brawl's items have a couple of interesting effects regarding items within the mode itself. When you roll for an item, you have a chance to roll something called an enhanced item, usually pairing up with better stats, stronger effects, scaling, and lower cooldowns for items that have an internal cooldown or is used as actives. A really good example of an enhanced item would be Enhanced Counterspell. Base Counterspell has a cooldown of 20 seconds, alongside its conditional, plus 150 healing, 20 spirit power, and 1.75 move speed a second, with the base stats of 100 bonus health and 8 spirit power on base. The enhanced version of Counterspell bumps up the base health to 250, and also doubles, if almost triples the effects of all conditionals while dropping the internal cooldown of Counterspell down to 12 seconds. Counterspell is an incredibly strong item in the hands of someone who can actually use it consistently, enhancing all of the effects that make Counterspell great, and it just gives you the ability to nuh-uh someone's ultimate and get away with it for free. Alongside enhanced items, there is legendary items. Legendary items are usually reserved for rounds 4 and 5, and they have roughly an 18% chance to drop. I don't know, I'd have to double check stat locker again, scream at me later. Because at rounds 4 and 5, the game has become less of a stomp and more of a stalemate. These items are incredibly powerful due to the effects that range from dropping a piano on someone's head to literally having infinite ammo. Sounds like a McGinnis player's dream, or a Haze player's dream. Depends on who you're asking, really. Well, some good examples of this would be, you see the Lash that is currently flying above you? He has Omnicharge Signet and stuck it on his toe. Good luck catching him. Or how about the degenerate aimbot child that just got electric slippers and is running you down with skulls, zombies, and enough spite to kill a small child? You see where this is going, so I'm going to stop. These legendary items also have enhanced variants. Not sure on the rarity of them, but The day I run into multiple enhanced legendaries is the day Yoshi kills my entire family and steals my soul. But before we move on, I actually do want to go over some of the legendary items themselves. A couple of them being infinite rounds. Infinite rounds, it gives you 200% bullet velocity and 30% fire rate. And its effect, your bullets have a chance to become unavoidable, piercing through enemies and ignoring their bullet resistance with a 65% proc chance. Enhanced, this is bumped up to 75%, and the stats are also increased as well, and that's only for infinite rounds. Ruined gauntlets, which actually reduces the cooldown of your abilities and gives your next heavy melee the ability to pierce through parry. Now, if anyone knows anything about the parry system in Deadlock, you know that when it comes to parrying, getting parried is a surefire way to die, so ensuring that you're able to pierce through parry, Billy players would love to get this whenever they get the chance, or any melee character in that matter. And Abrams. Mystical Piano. On use, it strikes the target area for a short delay with a large piano, stunning and reducing the stamina for enemies hit for a short duration, and the enemies are dazed. One of my favorite things I like doing with Mystical Piano is just shouting "Piano!" and dropping it on someone's head. Nullification Burst. First things first, Nullification Burst essentially acts a bit like Arctic Blast in its activation period. On active, it removes any positive buffs and prevents stamina usage and healing effects on enemies for a duration of 7 seconds, 250 spirit damage with a 0.47 scaling, and a 12-meter end radius. Seraphim Wings is just very fucking funny. If you're playing a character that loves being up in the air constantly, you're not dying. You're not dying, because Seraphim Wings reduces your gravity scale by 70%, gives you 120% stamina recovery, and when airborne, you deal more damage and take reduced damage. It also gives you an additional air jump and air dash before landing. So, you get that plus stamina mastery, you're not touching the ground, ever. And finally, for Spirit, we have Frostbite Charm. It's like Mercurial Magnum, but on steroids. It's one of those imbued items where you select your ability, you imbue it, and the imbued ability has its cooldown reduced and gains spirit power, you know, usual shit. But when the target ability deals damage, you actually freeze the target and apply bonus damage. The stats are 50% imbued ability cooldown reduction, 70 imbued ability spirit power, 200 spirit damage, and a 1-second freeze duration. Basically, get fucked, the item. But that is just a bit of the legendary items. Street Brawl does have its fair share of broken things about it. From legendaries, enhanced legendary items, enhanced items, Graves' entire existence in that mode. Oh yeah, I'm going there with this one. Street Brawl's character selection is consistent of 2 things: Graves and big ultimates. Characters such as Seven, Victor, Lash, Bebop, and Graves are seen all the damn time in Street Brawl, and I'll give fairly good reasonings as to why. Graves as an entire character is designed to free push waves with her ultimate and just be a general nuisance of a character. Her skeleton immobilization paired with essence theft as an ability makes me want to slam my head into a wall for several minutes at a time. It's even worse when she's able to RNG a refresher and proceed to summon 2 fucking gravestones that she'll defend with her life because grave players are war criminals in that mode, or she gets really unlucky, builds bullet, gets caught out, and dies, as Arya had mentioned when I was writing this. Victor has 2 things going for him in Street Brawl that allows him to be a force to be reckoned with: his sustain and his ultimate. Pain Battery and Jumpstart are just incredibly good. Pain Battery tier 3, having that percentage max health missing heal. And then there's Jumpstart. If Victor is lucky enough to get extra charges with Jumpstart, you are not getting any single non-ultimate debuff on him, because he'll just cleanse it immediately and run at you. And with Victor's ultimate being a free resurrection with no need to wait for a respawn timer, you'd have to force him to either dive incredibly stupidly or somehow kill him off before an ultimate comes off cooldown. It's happened a couple of times, but it's very unlikely when it comes to Victor. You've got like a 30-second time window in that sort of sense. The Lash does what the Lash does best, grabbing your whole fucking team, including yourself, and chucking you to Narnia. Lash will always have presence in the mode simply due to how effective it is to have a possible team-wide displacement tool paired with good follow-ups, depending on the comp that the Lash is in. Flog and Grapple, they're just really good tools in general for poke and sustain, and locking down a Lash in this mode is incredibly difficult. Bebop is just hook and beam. Yeah, you could play Echo Shard Bomb, but 90% of Bebops in this game mode will fish for hooks or just go for beams. Granted, you can just hide against a Bebop beam and it has been nerfed thanks to mode-specific balancing, but nothing will ever save you if you get hooked by a Bebop at the start of round. Just pray to whatever patron you decided to summon and hope your team doesn't get run over by the time you come back from being dead. And 7 is an ult bot. That is all. Made even worse if you somehow get Infuser and Unstop. Pray you get an Anvil early on or a good Doorman, otherwise you'll never be able to play the game. Ever. I'm so fucking sick of seeing 7. Aside from that, that's about everything I can really go over in terms of Street Brawl. So what are my opinions? Street Brawl as a mode is more of a casual, friendly mode, being able to introduce people to Deadlock's main systems without fear of them being overwhelmed with information regarding the game's intricacies and depth of mechanics, paired with the usual toxicity that a MOBA has. Yes, you might get fucked by RNG at some point or go against a comp where you get your face stomped in, And the opposite can also be said, where you yourself get blessed by RNG and you yourself stomp the shit out of the enemy for a 3-round shutout. But the best matches are the ones that go to round 5, are an absolute scrap fest where it goes deep into overtime, where one mistake can make or break a match for anyone involved. I love Deadlock's Street Brawl mode. It's really good. Unbalanced, sure, but with the mode-specific balancing that's been introduced, McGinnis being completely wiped out from existence last time I checked, she's still annoying. Bebop being nerfed and 7 also being nerfed in those modes, but still having insane presence. I'd give the mode a solid 7 out of 10 for what it is, with some refinement and the introduction of the mode-exclusive balancing like I said. Street Brawl is shaping up to become a very, very good casual mode, sort of up there alongside stuff like League's ARAM. But Deadlock is just a lot more fun to play in general than League, so if you're coming over from League, you're in for a treat. So with that, I will leave this video here. Thank you all for watching. Whether you stumbled upon this video via the algorithm, been a subscriber for a while, or simply really interested in Deadlock as a game, I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my links in the description, such as my Discord server, my Twitch, and my TikTok. I'm usually over there quite a bit on my TikTok and Twitch and Discord. Once again, it has been Azura, and I see everyone around in the next video.
Goodbye.